Today we're speaking with the visibility coach, David Avrin. David, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.
David, you've just written this book. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. It's, you've heard the phrase so many times, it's all about who you know.
Yeah.
And I think especially if you're looking to market and build a small business, I think what's more important is not necessarily who you know, but who knows you. You can have one great connection with an individual, or you can present in front of an audience of 10,000 professionals, or even 1,000 professionals, and it's a way of amplifying your reach and your message. And so the point of the book was to come up with stories and strategies and tactics and ways of taking your core message and your value proposition and raising your visibility and broadcasting it to a larger audience.
So can you tell me what types of ways you can increase your visibility?
Yeah, and it happens across so many different industries. It doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter if you're talking about an individual or an organization. It's how do you highlight, there's sort of these basic tenets of creating visibility. It's being very unique, it's having a real solid plan of how you're going to get your information out there. And then it's finding ways to be visible. And you think about who's your target market? What do they watch? What do they read? Where do they recreate and congregate and dine and connect and collect and making sure that you're in front of them where they are. Most people aren't making their buying decisions in a vacuum. They're not saying, should we buy from this provider specifically? It's all within context. There's so many people professing to be able to provide the service. So the question is, why you? What makes you stand out? What makes you stand apart? The four most dangerous words in business are all things being equal, right? All things being equal, they shop on price or they shop on proximity. Whoever's closest, whoever's the cheapest. And I think for those who decide to be in business, whether it's a service provider, a medical practitioner, or somebody with a particular product, they're not entering the marketplace to be the low-cost leader. That's not a fun position to be in because you have to make it all up in volume. But if you can become that preferred provider, and maybe it's preferred because you offer a service that no one else does, maybe it's because you're just more visible than the others, right? All things being equal, we're going to find somebody who's cheap or close, but if somebody really comes to mind because they've done a better job of standing out, they're going to get the lion's share of the business. And that's what I wrote the book about, was just clever, creative ideas to raise your visibility.
In small business, what are the biggest mistakes that people make in increasing their visibility?
You know what, the biggest mistake that I see time and time again for almost all small businesses across so many different industries is they will spend years, if not decades, getting really good at what they do, learning their craft. They'll spend millions, if not tens of millions of dollars to buy the equipment and build their business and build their infrastructure. But they'll spend hours, if not minutes, choosing the words that they use to describe their business and describe what they do and what makes them different. And so when you go to the websites, you look in the marketing materials of all of these individuals who own these organizations, they all kind of say the same thing. I mean, so often it's the exact same words in the exact same industry. And largely they're true. I mean, the words are true and actually accurately describing what it is that they do, what it is that they offer, the problem that they solve, but they do nothing to answer the question, why you? Why are you different? Why are you preferable to someone else? All they do is show that you're competent, that you're good at what you do. And what it does is actually puts you on a par with everybody else who's really good at what they do. And for the people who think that that's not the case, in all honesty, I just say, grow up, wise up. Everybody's good. If they're not good, they're going to fall by the wayside anyway. Everybody's good. Some are better, but everybody's good. So with that base level of quality that everybody is pretty much presenting into the marketplace, you have to find a way to differentiate yourself. And it's the words you use to describe yourself. Print off, I advise clients all the time, print off the website and the marketing materials of your competitors. Put them side by side to yours. And where are you saying the same thing? And they'll find 95% of the way they describe themselves, barring a word or two, they're almost identical. And they may be in a different order, but all they do is say that you're good. And being good is only the entry fee into the marketplace. It doesn't help you actually get the business and land that sale.
And what tools can we use to increase our visibility?
You know what? There are so many tools. We live in an amazing time, and it's really the most remarkable time in history. There are blogs and e-zines and newsletters and television programs. Some of the ways that people can really take charge and take control is they can write articles. They can speak and present, and it's a wonderful way. If you are really good at what you do and you provide a wonderful service, if you can go speak to an audience of 500 people who are interested in what it is that you have to say and what it is that you do, it's like the most targeted marketing you could possibly do, because what you're doing is you're sampling. You're showing them snippets of your expertise. And when all things are equal, and we can never allow all things to be equal, they're going to go with the one they know. If you help them understand the risks of something or how much better you can make their life, they're not going to suddenly go look for all the other providers. You're the one who brought it to their attention. You're the one who's clearly the expert. You have a much better chance of landing that business.
So you're the expert in visibility. Tell me, you were talking before that as health professionals we spend a lot of time honing our craft. How much time should we be spending on this? How much attention do you think it needs?
You know what? There's a great saying that says marketing is not a department. It's not carving off special time for marketing. I would suggest that everything you do in your business is marketing. Every connection with a patient or a prospect, every time you're on the phone, every time you're speaking to colleagues, is an opportunity to raise your visibility. And I'm not talking about overt marketing, asking people for business every time you talk to them. It's making sure that they are aware of who you are and what you do, aware of what you are really, really,
and how
really
we can
good
help
at,
them,
and how you can help them as well. When they're that familiar, in most cases, you don't have to tell them or ask them, hey, if you know of any patients you can refer my way. If they're very cognizant and aware of the skills that you have, every phone call that's made, I do an exercise with organizations where I work with them to come up with the top 5 most crucial things that others need to know about what they do, why they're good, why they're a preferable choice to others as well, and to come up with the best 5 statements that you would say verbally. And you type it up and you laminate it and you stick it to everybody's phone in the organization. And the rule is that nobody gets to get off the phone, anybody, until you've said 3 of those 5 things. And you begin to educate the marketplace. And it's not a marketing effort, though there are some very important marketing efforts in what you do with your website or search engine optimization and Facebook and Twitter and advertising. But the first thing you need to do is make sure that you're clear on what makes you different, not what makes you good at what you do. Because once again, everybody's good. But what makes you different.
And as a coach, do you find that some people find that finding that difference difficult?
I find that most people find it difficult to find it because they know what they're really good at. They know what they want to do. They know what they can do for their patients. But there's a disconnect between what they want to say and what their prospects want to hear. And there's an exercise I always encourage. I say, look at all your promotional material and read it with a yellow highlighter in one hand and a pink highlighter in the other hand. And everything you say about yourself to highlight in yellow, but everything you say about your customers or your prospects or your patients, you highlight in pink or whatever other color. And it better be more pink than yellow. But what they find hard is not talking about themselves. Because they think they need to sell their prospects on how good they are, how smart they are, what they can do, what their capabilities are. And the prospect's only thinking about, what do I need? How is this going to make my life better? Why do I need to choose this over something else? Can I afford the cost? Right? And so they need to look at it from an outside perspective, and that's the biggest challenge that I think most of them have.
So David, you're an international speaker, best-selling author. If you could give us 3 tips for health professionals to improve our visibility for our own small business, what would they be?
I think 3 tips would be, clearly number 1 is you have to be able to determine, to ferret out what makes you different. Answer the question, why you? What is it that makes you unique in terms of your capabilities, unique in terms of your visibility or it's more than just a slogan. It's how do people know you and remember you? The second tip is is really making sure that you crafted the words right. It's not just knowing what makes you different. Are you using the same words that your competitors are
I remember
using?
when I was designing my website, someone told me, look at all the other dietitians' websites and just, pick little things from their websites.
And
Obviously the wrong idea.
well, it's not about copying or emulating.
Yeah.
It's about taking the best practices, because there's certain
Yeah.
basic information you have to just to show what
Yeah.
you do, but there has to be something clear on the first page that shows why you're different. So number 2 is you really have to take the time to craft the words. It's not going to happen in an hour, and it's worth the time and it's worth the exercise. And the third one, of course, you have to promote.
Yeah.
You have to be visible.
really hard.
It's marketing, it's public relations, it's making sure that you're visible through writing articles, writing books, giving speeches, being at networking or Chamber of Commerce events, being in the publications that your customers are reading. It's health fairs down at the mall. It's anything and it's everything, because most of the competitors aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they only know what they know. And all things being equal, we can't let them be equal. So if you're more visible, so if you're clear on what makes you unique, if you are more purposeful in crafting those words and are more visible in doing the work that you do, you're well on your way to increasing your business.
David Avrin, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Absolutely.
David Avrin's given us a lot of ideas to marketing ourselves and improving our visibility. Thank you, David, for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.